What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Throwdown, episode 45. I am your host, Tony Polanco, and tonight I'm joined by Emilio Lopez.
Better, faster, stronger, better.
Chris Seeley.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
And joining us, special guest, my man, Will Wiggins, Black Oni.
Yo, what's going on?
All right, people, we got an awesome show for you, but before we do that, a couple of little things here. Brett, unfortunately, can't join us because his internet sucks. Fuck Time Warner. Hopefully you're not listening right now and cut my shit off while we're doing this fucking show.
How dare you?
Hey, motherfuckers. And quick thing, Chris, man, why were you absent from Throwdown Your Questions? You were doing something fun, wasn't you?
Yeah, I went to a big retro game show down here in Austin. It's called Classic Game Fest. And there's a ton of people down here who love, classic gaming, like Nintendo. I found Master System games. I found this TurboGrafx 16 games, which I haven't seen in freaking years. Plenty of Saturn stuff, actually. You would have been happy. I even played some Sega CD stuff, even stuff I never heard of, like Android Assault. There was a competition. It's a hard game. Either that, or I'm just old and my arthritis gets in the way. It's like I can't move the blade fast. I'm dying. But there was some great stuff. I finally found, and I've been looking for this for a long time, Contra 3 for Super Nintendo, and I finally found it. I was like so happy. I was playing it the other day, and I found Axlay, and I was playing that shit, in all its Mode 7 goodness.
Yes.
And I was enjoying the fuck out of it. So yeah, I was very happy. I got some cool stuff.
That's pretty awesome. That's awesome. All right, so let's move it on. Will, man, how are you, sir?
I'm good. I'm a little bit sweaty right now. Just got finished setting up for Boston Comic Con. Setting up the table. I've been drawing all day, and I'm supposed to be working, and today has been insane. But I'm great. I'm really excited to be here, and I'm excited to talk games. I'm excited to learn more about you guys. I had Tony on the podcast just recently, so
yes.
That was also exciting. It's just awesome to be a part of this gaming culture in this capacity. So I'm doing well right now.
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna definitely get to know you a little bit. But yeah, it's funny because me and Will, we've been Twitter friends for a while, and then out of the blue, you're like, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast?" I'm like, "Yo, let's do it." So we did the Black Oni podcast, which was a lot of fun. We talked a lot of shit about Street Fighter V, and then during the show, it's like, "Hey, you should be on Throwdown," and you were like, "Hell yeah!" So that's how this got started. So yeah, let's get to know you a little better. Tell us your geek origin story. How did all this get started for you, man?
How did all the Black Oni situation get started?
But even before that, little Will Wiggins, like 4 years old, man. How do you get into video games and all the other good stuff?
My first video game system was a Sega Genesis.
Oh wow.
Yeah, my dad came by at some point. My mom and dad were separated, as is the case with many people these days.
Mm-hmm.
And he came by with my brother and my two little sisters. And he said, "Hey, I have this new game system. Here it is." It might have been my birthday, I don't know. And I popped in Sonic. It was Sonic 2 for the first time, and I was just blown away. I was like, "What is this? This is ridiculous. This is awesome." And so from that point on, I just played as many different things as I could. My mom would come down the stairs and see me playing all these different kinds of games. She would sit there and watch. She would think it was cool. So. From that point on, I was playing video games. It was the Super Nintendo. I never had a Nintendo Entertainment System, but my neighbor had it, so I always played that. So that's really kind of how everything started. It started with Sonic, and then it kind of multiplied itself once I started getting my hands on different types of gaming experience. I've always been interested in everything. Mortal Kombat came out not too shortly after I got my Sega Genesis, and I played that regardless of the fact that it was ridiculously violent.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with that. Me and my cousins and my brothers would play that all the time. I played Vector Man all the time. I played like this Tom and Jerry game.
Oh shit! I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone remembers that from Sega Genesis. It's like that was my first actual system, and then I kept it at my grandmother's place. That was like whenever I got off of school, I would have that to play. And then I would go home, and I had a Super Nintendo at home. And so I played games like Battletoads and more Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. I played, what else did I play on that? I played Legend of Zelda. I played other games I can't even think of right now. There were so many different things. Mario, of course, Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah, Super Mario World, man, that was the shit right there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So that's more or less where everything kind of started with those two systems. And when you're a little kid, you don't really understand the concept of like the fanboyism. Like I only play on this system, I only play on that system. If you had the luxury of playing on the other system, you did, and it was just as simple as that.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, like, hey, which version of Mortal Kombat do you like better, Super Nintendo or Genesis? Old school of console war right there, man.
Yeah, right. I would say if it was Mortal Kombat 2, Sega Genesis, of course, because that gave you all the blood. Like the Super Nintendo version didn't even. It was all sweat, right? Like they didn't even let you do all the gory stuff. So definitely the Sega Genesis version, but I had Mortal Kombat 3 on the Super Nintendo, and that was dope. I think the controller felt really nice for that.
Yeah, that was a great controller. Sega Genesis one was good too, and especially when it had the 6-button one.
Yeah.
What other systems you have after that? Like moving on, with the generations.
So my half brother, me and him are still very close, but we're closer then because we used to visit each other. I used to go over there every weekend, and so he had an N64, as well as a PlayStation. And at home, I had a PlayStation, so I always had access to the library of N64 games that you can play. I played games like GoldenEye, NFL Blitz. I played Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. I played like the Spider-Man game that was on there by Activision. Yeah, I played. Yeah, dude. I played a whole bunch of things on there. There was, of course, the Mario 64 games. But once both of us got PlayStations, that became our mainstay systems. Like that's what both of us played all the time. And so, dating back to playing Mega Man games on that system, and playing what else was I playing? Mega Man, Tekken. Those were probably and fucking, of course, Metal Gear Solid.
Yes, don't forget that Metal Gear.
Yes, dude. And so I can tell you right now that I had always been fascinated by gaming. I'd always been in love with the medium for a variety of different reasons. But once Metal Gear Solid released, that changed everything. The entire landscape of what I considered a gaming experience was completely different. It was to the point where my brother and I, when we played that game, it was never oh man, I have to sit here and watch my brother play Metal Gear Solid. It was like I had already seen the game play through completion twice. I had already understood what the story was about. Every time we popped it in, we were discovering something new about the game, whether it was a codec conversation that we didn't see before, whether it was a detail in the environment that we hadn't even noticed or even considered a possibility. It was all these different elements, and the way everything came together, it was a cinematic experience. And of course, Metal Gear Solid games are notorious for their super long cutscenes, but there was something I saw in that told me two things. One, that I will always be a gamer because there will always be experiences like this that break the mold of what we consider solid gaming experiences. I mean, obviously, my mind wasn't as sophisticated to formulate that sentence, but that's what was going on in my head. And two, that I would be an artist. I knew, based on playing that game and the feeling it invoked, I had always loved making art as well. But it wasn't until that point, and like really delving myself into Dragon Ball at the time, that I realized that those were two things that were incredibly important to kind of what made me me as a child.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the defining moment for like knowing this, that solidified everything. I knew that was just what it was going to be.
See, now we know why you're on the podcast, because you're loving Metal Gear.
Oh yeah, dude, the love is undying.
Yeah, that's real, man. I didn't know that. That's fucking great. And also, it kind of segues into what you do as, for your day job, the art.
Yes.
So how did that get all started?
I was about 12 years old. Me and my brother, of course. A lot of stories start off with my brother and I. And we used to just doodle stuff, draw things. We would draw a car outside, or we would draw Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck, and we'd see who can draw it better. And he's a little older than me, but that was never an excuse for him being better at drawing certain things than me. And so I took it upon myself to continue striving towards improving as an artist, with my little line work, my little Dragon Ball Z rip-off characters. And and things just kind of spiraled and grew from there. Because like I used to watch anime. I still watch anime. Watch anime all the time, and it was mainly started with Dragon Ball Z. But that's the gateway anime for most people.
Yeah, basically.
So I started exploring all the other anime and fell in love with that. And so for a while, my style was very indicative of anime style. But I moved away from that, not because I didn't like anime style, but because I wanted to incorporate more variety. And I didn't want to kind of just be a typical only one style feel to what I was doing. And so I worked at this place called Artists for Humanity. Shout out to them because they were one of the reasons why I was able to kind of take my art to that next level. And it was essentially an apprenticeship for young kids, young inner city kids, to have a job while learning more about art. And also like I sold paintings while I was working there. So like it was a really kind of eye-opening experience to like say, hey, not only can I like learn about making this art, or like learn about paint. Like the idea of painting to me was very bizarre. Like why would I ever sit here in front of a canvas and like ruin a canvas? And like the first lesson I ever got was you can always paint over it. I didn't even think about it, right? Because like with paper and pencil, like if you dig too deep into the paper, or if you do too many strokes on here, like you really gotta have to live with the fact that there's gonna be this mark that's kind of faded right there. With a painting, you always have the freedom to kind of continue expressing yourself on the canvas. And so I started getting into painting, and I always still had drawing as a part of what I did. And I've always been interested in, the thing about me, I've always been interested in a variety of different things. So I never wanted to only be good at one type of thing. So once I learned about painting, in terms of like just applying paint to simple objects, I wanted to learn how to paint people because I drew people. I wanted to learn how to paint people. And so it became, now I know how to paint people. I want to paint environments. Now that I'm painting, I want to start sculpting. And now that I'm, this is in college at this point, I said this isn't, I don't want to just stop here. I want to do all this other stuff. So I wanted to do digital imaging because obviously, the way things have gravitated, everything is digital now. This is down to the way we consume media. This is down to the way work is produced. This is down to music. Most of that stuff is all either digitally produced or digitally captured. So I said, I need to get my hands on as many different types of artistic experiences as I can. I did a little bit of photography, a little bit of video art, they called it. I did everything that I could. And I settled on graphic design and illustration as like my mainstays of what I do outside of college. Because one, I know it's high in demand. No matter where you go, there will always be someone somewhere who wants something designed or something illustrated. But two, since I love video games, it only made sense that I kind of bring my love for video games and art together into kind of a cohesive artistic experience. And so that's what I do now. Essentially, I work at a nonprofit right now as a graphic designer. I'm the lead graphic designer there. But outside of that, I do freelance illustration and design. So this can be annual reports. This can be reports with findings about a specific topic, or this could be logos for different companies, business cards, et cetera, or it can be some comic book illustrations, or some concept art for some smaller other businesses or publications. So
yeah, it's good that you're versatile like that. You can pretty much get work in a lot of different places.
You kind of have to be in the landscape out there. Comic books is the one position that kind of makes you specialize, but it also doesn't make you very. A lot of people don't really, when you're trying to get a job in the industry, people want to know that you can make a full image rather than just pencil something or just color something.
And they want you to be a website designer these days too. I know HTML and CSS because of kind of what I've had to do. Like my website, I had to build from the ground up with secure HTML and CSS and a little bit of JavaScript in there. That's a little bit wonky, but
you kind of have to be you kind of like, especially to really survive as an artist, you kind of have to be a one-person studio.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, that's pretty cool how I guess your love of games and your love of anime, that all made like gave you a career basically. That's pretty awesome. And what I want to know now is how did the whole gaming thing start with you, like game journalism or videos or whatever? Because I don't like that term game journalist because we're not really journalists. We're just game.
Man, you don't get paid. No.
But how did that whole get started? Like you putting yourself out there talking about games to people.
That's a great question. That's a great question. All of these are great questions. I really enjoy this. Again, thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, definitely. We're digging deep, man. When you, man.
Yeah, I like that. So, how do I start this? Of course, I've been gaming for a long time. I've had a group of people that I would game with often. And, I had an idea with one of my friends one day where I was like, there are people out here already on YouTube making these really interesting or funny or entertaining videos pertaining to gaming. So they're centered around the idea of them playing something and talking while they're playing, or they're talking about a totally different topic. And I said, it would be really interesting if I did something like that, if we did something like that. And so on my YouTube channel, which you guys, no one can see actually right now, but I might make it live again. I had a video that was kind of a behind the scenes of this project I had started in college called Anikara. And this is in relation to the comic book that I am still working on, but in a totally different capacity. What I was doing was part of a class. What I'm trying to do now is part of a full production. I haven't talked to this about too many people. Not too many people know about it. So it's a project that's coming down the line. Hopefully the end of this year, I will have the compendium and first issue and all the information about that ready for people so that they can be a part of that. But the behind the scenes of like this animated short I was doing pertaining to that was my first ever YouTube video. And then my second YouTube video was, there was a few that was like some dance performances I saw in Boston, whatever. The second actual one that I was responsible for producing and editing was between my roommate and myself, which was for Painted Black, which was the comic book that he and I actually worked on and had kickstarted. So thanks to people on Kickstarter and our friends and family, we were able to get this project on the road, and that's one of the reasons why I go to Comic-Con, is because we had that book to sell. And the other video, which was the first gaming-related video, was the podcast. And so it was a podcast between myself. Shout out to Bauer Kills, because he was on that, and shouts to KK-osaurus, who was the one KK originally. And I had flirted with the idea of making YouTube videos for a while. I always thought it was interesting. I always thought it was a really cool way to kind of talk about your passion or kind of present your passion for gaming. And that was cool because even though we didn't have that many hits at first, it was still interesting that like I shared the video with a couple of people and someone else saw it and then someone else saw it. So like the concept that there was anyone out there who wanted to spend their time listening to me, listening to some of my other good friends talk about video games on a podcast. At this time, I'm just a nobody. I'm just a graphic designer and illustrator. I had no presence in gaming at all. Was really fascinating to me, and I said, you know what? I had a girlfriend at the time who said, you shouldn't spend too much time on it because, it's not something that's going to directly make you money, or it's not going to directly, attribute towards success. And I'm not going to like blame her for not starting it sooner, but that was a part of why I never started sooner, because like there was always like, well, if it's not doing anything for you, why are you doing it? Like I'm doing it because I fucking love it. And so
damn right.
Exactly. And so like regardless of if I never make any real money based off of this or not, I'm still going to do this because this is one of the things I'm passionate about. And so I started with the podcast, and then I started with a couple of gameplay videos, random gameplay videos. And again, when you're playing with your friends, you have these really spontaneous moments where you just do and say the silliest shit you could think of.
Yeah.
And it's like, man, I really wish I had a camcorder. I really wish I had this recorded so that people can see this. And it's like, you can do that. It's just a matter of getting yourself out of this bubble of thinking you can't do it. And so that's how it all started. I just said, you know what? I'm only going to be, I could die tomorrow. Like, one of my regrets shouldn't be that I didn't start sharing my love for gaming with the rest of the world, right? And the same thing with art. Like, that should never be my regret. I should never regret not sharing my artwork with the world. And so I'm very fortunate in the fact that like both my artwork and my YouTube videos have gotten the kind of attention that they've had. But that's it. That's just the thing, right? The very first step is to just do it.
Yeah, just do it. A lot of people they overthink it. It's like just do it. Worry about the logistics later.
Exactly. Like every I don't want to say every, most successful business owners or business people or people who get anywhere in life with anything will tell you that the first step of doing anything is to get it out the door and then find out, get reactions from people, understand based on what you've done, what things you can improve, what things you'd like to do differently, and like it all snowballs off of itself. So like, for example, reaching out to you for the podcast, like you never know what's going to happen until you just do it, right?
Yeah, exactly. What's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to say no. That's easily the worst thing that can happen. So if that's the worst thing that can happen, then there's no harm in it. Just do it. Right. That's how it is, man.
Right.
I think that's a great motto. Everybody take heed to that. Just fucking do it.
Fucking do it.
Well, I think in general, it's very. You can definitely get into one of those situations where you kind of overthink yourself. You're kind of like, oh well, what if I did this, what if this, and then then you finally just take that step and you're like, well, that wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be, Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, because a lot of people, even till this day, people are like, man, how do you do a podcast all the time? Don't you get nervous? I'm like, no, you just put a camera in front of yourself and talk.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
I mean, theoretically, the Throwdown is essentially a normal conversation that we would have me, you, and Chris, us just sitting in the house somewhere, or one of us calling you, or us calling each other. It's just that. That's what really the Throwdown is.
Yeah, and people seem to like that. So cool. That's it. We could try to be like, let's be really professional about this and talk about these topics in a serious manner. Fuck that. We're just having a normal conversation. Will, you're just chilling in a room with us right now. That's all that's happening. Yeah. But yeah, you're right about that. A lot of people, you're right, man. You just get stuck in overthinking it. Meanwhile, you're over here overthinking the other guy. He already went ahead and did it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And one of the things I want to also say, I don't ever want to undermine what it is that we do, right? There's a lot of work that goes behind.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
Right now. There's a lot of coordination. There's a lot of timing. You got to schedule everything. You have to put the graphics together. You have to get the word out on social media. You have to be on top of a lot of things in order to be successful at it. But to actually start it, to get the ball running, first steps. Everything's a baby step. You think of everything one day, one item at a time. When you're doing exercise, when you're working, you have to do one rep at a time. You can't skip to 5, right? So it's all about the steps. Each little step that you make is one little bit of progress that you didn't have before.
Yeah, you're right about that, because like right now you're right. Like a lot of things go into doing a podcast, but at this point, since we already started it, it's secondhand. All this stuff that may overwhelm other people, to us is second nature. It's like, all right, get the graphic up, get this, get that, whatever. It's all set up.
Yeah, I mean, at least for us, for our size, it was kind of an evolution. We're just kind of figuring it out in the beginning, as we kind of did it, and then just kind of creating those, like the presets. Like, in other words, like especially for our images and stuff like that, I have like a thumbnail and stuff, and I can set that up with a logo and everything like that. Even without just putting together our music, even Tony has like some extra presets, or it's like, okay, it ends here, it begins there, just to make the process go a little bit faster. And each time you keep doing it, it gets faster and faster.
Yeah, exactly. But it all builds up of us just getting out there first, like just we didn't have all this shit planned out at the beginning.
No,
we just did it, and then it all came together. And I'm pretty sure that's what happened with you. The way it is now is not the way it was in the beginning. I'm pretty sure it built up to that over time.
I don't even know if we had a podcast agenda. I think we just kind of got on there. It was like, so, this shit going on the internet right now.
That's what's up, man. So, yeah, and I guess that trickled over, and it kept building and building. Did you eventually start, to get contacted by, companies or anything like that? Like PR, gaming companies, like, hey, why don't you review some games for us?
Yes and no. So, I've had a couple of people reach out to me in terms of wanting to be guests on the podcast and stuff like that, which has been really flattering and awesome. I've had some companies kind of say, hey, do you want to try this out? I had one random company ask me if I wanted to review random electronic stuff that had no correlation to anything I was doing, and I was like, no, I don't. I've had a lot of networks try to pick me up. And I was really flattered the first time it happened. It was like, hey, like we really like what you're doing. Would you like to be a part of this network? Blah blah blah. And so I started noticing it was happening more and more and more, and I was wondering why it was happening. But it's just it was really interesting. I kept seeing like some of the perks that they kept saying was stuff I was already able to do or I already did myself. And so some of it was like, oh, you can get custom thumbnail overlays. I was like, I do this stuff. Like, this isn't anything that you're offering me right now. They're like, oh, we have support for music. I'm like, I have people asking me to put their music on my channel. Like, I don't need this.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it was like, we'll take 40% of whatever you make, blah blah blah, or like some of them were more, some of them were less. And I was like, I don't really see the value in this. So. Mm-hmm. I've had like stuff like that happen. When it comes to like companies asking me, it's mainly I've had to ask companies to review certain things. So like I had to reach out to them and see, if I can get access to a game or a piece of equipment and stuff like that. And
everybody still has to do that. Don't even worry about that. We all have to do that too. You got to reach out to them.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm hoping at some point it's the other way around. They start contacting me. But I do know. I'm going to give a shout out to my man, Andy Lunick. He works at Sandbox Strategies. You guys might know him. If you don't, I will give you guys his contact information. He's a stand-up, wonderful guy,
nice.
One of my best friends. But he works for kind of a marketing company that works with people like us and people who do like a lot of Twitch streaming and YouTube stuff. And he's one of the people who's been able to get me access to certain games or like, get a chance to play Dreadnought for the first time out of like the general public. With Jesse Cox like by my side, with like all these other people, like
wow.
in stream with like all that stuff going on. So like he is one of my go-to people when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, it's one of those toss-up things. Hopefully one day it'll get to the point where I don't have to like go out of my way as much to like contact companies and get them to send stuff. But like I had Astro send me over some gaming headphones, the Astro A50s, and funny enough, the only reason why I think they did was because I met one of the people at PAX East. I've met her name is escaping me right now, but she was really lovely. She was nice. I did an interview with her, and she must have thought I was professional enough to like give me contact information to the rest of the team that like does that kind of stuff.
Look, I'll tell you one thing right now. It's not really about how professional you come off. It's how like amicable you are. If you come off as a good person, they'll remember that and they'll want to work with you.
Yeah, that's very true. So that's one of the secrets right there is to be very personable, but also like meet some of these people, talk to them. Don't just kind of like send an email like, hey, I want this, blah blah blah. Like find a way to get in touch with the person and then like have a conversation. Best way to do that is at these events, at these conventions, at these trade shows and stuff like that. But, yeah, I think I answered your question.
Yeah, listen, man. We ask a question, then you go off on an interesting tangent. That's what Throwdown is all about. Actually, I want to ask you, what are some like highlights, that you've experienced doing this whole gaming thing? Because I know, actually, I have two questions at once, but let me go for this one. Okay, what's a highlight for you, like so far?
Oh, highlight. Highlights or just one singular highlight? Like
you can rattle off whatever, one or a bunch, whatever. It's up to you, whatever feels right.
I would say one of the highlights absolutely is, this kind of goes back to what I was talking about, going to like conventions or trade shows in general, like PAX East. I've been twice. One of the highlights is absolutely the respect I get from people when I have that presence. So like I have like a microphone that has like the Black Oni logo. I have like my Black Oni headphones. I don't know if you guys can see. I have I bring these with me that has like the logo on it. Like I come in
Badass.
with like a T-shirt that's branded. Like I come in with a presence, and so people see that and they understand it and they respect it. And that's something that I wasn't sure would happen right away, but the way it happened was very interesting. Like if I talk to someone that I've seen before, Black Nerd Comedy, Andre from him, I met him in person. I met, obviously I've seen Hip Hop Gamer, I've seen Malik Forte, I've seen Chad from Polaris, I've seen Dodger from Polaris. Like I've met all these people, and I've kind of, I guess, presented myself in a way, I've been, personable enough to them so that they kind of like get the vibe and like they feel good about that. Like that sense of satisfaction of talking to those people and like getting the same kind of respect that I have for them is definitely one of the highlights of doing this. Even they don't know who I am, but they still treated me as an equal. And I think that you can't say that about every industry, and you can't say that about
some people in this industry, because we got stories too, man. Like we've met people that are just like that. They meet us, they treat us with respect. And there's some other guys that are like, it's like their farts don't stink. Like, come on, man, we're all here in this together. What the fuck you acting like that for?
Yeah, exactly.
I think also it also depends on how you kind of hold yourself. You know what I mean. You present yourself as well, and you see, in general, you seem very professional about it, and that's, I think a lot that goes a long way.
I throw a lot of fuck
with people.
Hey, it's all right, man. People don't care about that as long as you're nice,
No. I mean, it's about being nice. It's also about being a professional. Like not walking up to people and doing all kinds of weird things. Just
we got stories.
I'm trying to think of this dude. I don't remember his name. It was like K something. He was going around to like women at E3 or something like that, just like trying to get them to flash their tits or something. I don't even know.
Come on, man. You don't do
what
shit like that.
See that? That's the sort of thing that people just kind of go, oh God, really?
Yeah. Yeah, there's certain things in the gaming realm I can't be too proud of.
Yeah, I want to ask you about Twitch, because I know you do a lot of videos there. Like, because I know you started on YouTube. So, what made Twitch so fascinating to you?
My man Andy convinced me that I should be spending more time on Twitch, and he gave me some very compelling information about it, some very compelling evidence relating to kind of where the trend is going. And you're actually starting to see a lot of the bigger YouTubers doing a lot of stuff on Twitch as well, because they're one of the fastest growing companies of all time, not even just in the gaming landscape, but just in all time. And it's a certain kind of different feel to video content. So with YouTube, for example, a lot of that stuff I do a lot of back-end editing, I do a lot of processing, I have to wait for everything to upload. There's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to make the YouTube videos what they are. With Twitch, you're putting on a live show, you just have to get everything ready beforehand, and you just go at it. And so that feel really appealed to me in a way that's different than YouTube, right? Because like with YouTube, you have to be very careful about making your videos too long or not getting to your point soon enough, or you kind of have to be a little bit more strategic when it comes to your YouTube content. When it comes to Twitch live streaming in general, it's a raw experience. People are going there to see the full-on Black Oni. They want to see Black Oni. They want to see, Rami Depp straight up. They want to see everything. They want to see all the failures. They want to see all the successes. They want to hear all of your burps. They want to see you go on bathroom breaks. They want the real experience. And so I think there's something really pure about that YouTube doesn't do quite the same way. And if it does, like, only certain people are able to really pull that off, because the attention span on YouTube is way different than it is on Twitch.
Yeah, it's almost non-existent. I'm surprised we got so many hits on our fucking show. Because our show's going for like 2 or 3 hours, and people watch them like, okay, but usually it's like 5 minutes. People don't care anymore.
Right.
Right. I want to jump on what you said, because that's something we try to do on our end. Like, for example, we have our audio version. I do almost no editing in that, because people like the real stuff. Like, I'll just truncate silence. That's about it. Slap some music on it. You're done. Because people like the rawness. Because there's too many. Like, don't get me wrong. It's good to have things that are produced, right? But at the same time, you want the real person. And I think that's where the industry's headed now, especially with Twitch. It's proving that that's what people want.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think it's just pure gameplay, or sometimes it's something totally different, and you can have a face cam, you can see people, you can interact with them while it's happening. I think that's something that's really appealing to myself and also to the people who watch them, is that you can experience the moments with the person as opposed to just having a passive experience. Because gamers, I mean, we're used to being interactive.
Yeah, it's a good point. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Twitch itself is very gamer-like, in that way. It's like you can interact with them as it happens. You could affect the show, even.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah.
I was trying to explain it to some family friends who didn't fully understand kind of what it is that I do. I mean, they understand like the graphic design stuff, but they don't understand the gaming thing. And so they're like, "Yo, I see like a lot of links to Twitch and stuff like that. What is this Twitch thing? Like, what is this?" And I was like, "Well, me see if I can put this a different way. I was like, you know how you can watch like cam girls? You can watch live cam girls, doing their thing,
Yeah.
Well, think of that, but with gaming instead. Like you can be an active member of something like that, and so.
Do they understand that?
Yeah, you got that right.
Like, wait, so they watch people play games? Why? Yeah, I know you get that shit a lot.
People watch
what? Why? Exactly. Like, yeah, you watch people play sports. It's the same. I don't know, people just don't get it, but.
Yo, man, it's spoilers. I want to see the spoilers.
That's awesome. So, where do you see yourself heading into the future with all this, with the Black Oni?
Yes. If all goes well, I will be running Black Oni as a full-time operation as opposed to a part-time thing. Because I have a full-time job. I also have the side job of like all the artwork stuff that I do, as well as the conventions that I go to and sell stuff at. That's where I see things going. As making this full-time, that's the first step. Being able to sustain myself, kind of doing this and doing more of the artwork on a full-time basis, and then branching that out to the rest of the people that I collaborate with on a regular basis. And so if I could have it my way, this would already be a full-on production studio. It would have a gaming and it would have a design and illustration services side. Both of them would be integral to the success of the business. I'd be using a lot of, obviously the YouTube revenue, the revenue from like advertising as well. But, sponsorships, for example, those are all kind of bigger picture things that I'm hoping to happen through Black Oni. But obviously the first step is making sure that I can do what I need to do to run it properly, and then be sustainable for one person, and then figure out a way to make it sustainable for a group of people so that I can have, employees instead of, just collaborators.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the goal for a lot of us. I know us, we would imagine the Throwdown Inc. or something like that. It'd be pretty nuts, but it's all about really building the audience and stuff, which I know you're doing a really good job of and stuff. So it's just a matter of just keeping it going,
Yeah, my Twitter, I haven't had a Twitter for as long as some of the other people out there. So I have been resistant to Twitter for a very long time. But I finally gave in and got one because of, again, I was doing the convention season stuff, and I realized that, like on Facebook, for example, I have a lot of people who pay attention to the stuff that I do, but I can't open up Facebook to everyone. I don't want everyone looking in my personal life. So I had to get a Twitter, and then, so eventually that will all kind of culminate into a bigger presence. But Twitter is very, it's not as big of a presence as it is on other platforms for me.
Yeah, I find that interesting because Manny and I were the same way. We were resistant to Twitter in the beginning. That was both on it all the time. Twitter's just like, wait, what? Why am I going to go on
140 characters? What?
Yeah, it's like, but then, when you start doing this, it's like, oh, okay, you got to promote your shit, Yeah. And then it just becomes fun because, like, I don't know if you see me, I'm always going back and forth with people, usually about gaming shit, get to big debates and stuff. It's funny. Then, Manny, you're always on there, like, asking companies questions and posting your art and stuff.
Yeah, that's
causing trouble for Konami.
No, I am not. No, I don't cause any trouble for Konami. If anything,
they cause their own trouble.
If anything, I'm helping them.
That's funny, man. Yeah, I saw you talking. It was Konami the other day. It's like, hey, when is the limited edition of this coming of the bundle coming out? Why isn't it coming to America?
I sent it. I really did. I included Konami in it, but I wasn't asking Konami because Konami.
Oh, it was PlayStation, right?
Yeah, I asked PlayStation that because PlayStation is in control of the bundles and the consoles, which I don't think that Metal Gear edition of the PlayStation 4 is coming.
No, of course not.
Wait,
that's
what?
Nah, dude, it's coming out. This our prediction because at the same time the Destiny bundle's coming out. Sony's not gonna have two bundles at the same time.
No
like that.
way. No two bundles. There's also probably one that's gonna happen with Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm. There is, and that's 2 months afterwards. So that
those are the two big games, and I think being that they have those two, Metal Gear, even known as great as it is, and it does for them, that's not going to be their priority.
That makes me incredibly depressed for
I see the look on your face.
Reasons.
I know. It's a sad thing because I really want a red fucking PlayStation, but
that is a beautiful fucking. It's beautiful, first of all.
Yeah, it's the nicest looking, next to the Destiny ones, because I really enjoy the Destiny ones. Next to the Destiny ones, that one is really nice because it's like, it's like totally different from what usual console looks like. But
it's fascinating because Metal Gear Rising Revengeance came out, and they had a special edition for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a big fan of Japanese art in general, but like aesthetically, they had this special edition of Rising Revengeance that came with a Square Enix white exclusive to Japan, by the way, white Raiden, cyborg Raiden figure, as well as our artwork featured by artwork by
Shinkawa.
Yoji Shinkawa.
Mm-hmm.
And it had a steel book that had the artwork on it as well. It was glorious, but it was only Japan exclusive. America got a fucking What was it? A fucking glowing lamp? It was a lamp. It was a fucking lamp.
It's a USB electrical. What do they call it?
I can't even think of the word right now.
It's a Jacob's ladder or whatever. It's one of those things that you stick your hand on it and the electricity goes to your fingers. That's exactly what it was.
I mean, that's cool and all. It had like the sword in there and it was like electric. Like that's fine, but like.
Yeah. Listen, you're talking to a guy who's imported almost every single Metal Gear artwork book from Japan. In general, Japan does get really cooler things, but I think at the same time, the reason why those sorts of things happen is because Japan is so small. You can do limited things, over there, and it not be too much of a big deal. You do something for like that in the United States or in Europe, and then it's a bigger story.
Yeah, a limited edition for us would be like the entire population of Japan.
Yeah. So I mean, like, granted, the like that same limited edition PlayStation is going to be available in Europe, but it's a very limited, it's very limited over there. Like in Japan, you can go to any single store and buy yourself a, that special edition.
7-Eleven,
Yeah, you can go to 7-Eleven and buy yourself a PlayStation 4 because they sell video games there. But yeah, so over here, yeah.
I went to Japan last year.
Nice.
It was amazing. It was glorious. I recommend everyone to get a chance, save up some money, and go. It was kind of crazy because I went alone. I know people there, so like I met up with them and stayed with some of them. But so that Ground Zeroes watch that came out.
Yep.
It was beautiful, and I said to myself, it is bullshit that. Like you couldn't even. I tried on several occasions to like order it from here, and I couldn't. And so I went to Japan around the time when it released, and in my brain, I'm sitting here like, there's no way I will ever stumble across this because like pre-orders apparently are sold out online, right? So you can't just like pre-order it, and like I imagine you can't just go in the store and pick it up. Man. I went down there, me and a couple of friends, we met up, we were hanging out, and I went to like a bunch of different stores. I can't remember the names of them off the top of my head, but one of my friends, like, they refer to them as the titty figure store, where you get a bunch of statues and figures and stuff like that. And so we looked around there. And
hey, Chris, that's heaven for you right there, man. Those girl statues.
Then it was so
yeah. I don't know if you can see in the background.
Oh yeah, no, those are. If I was in my room, you would see mine too. Like I have one of those Detolf cases with some fucking figures in there. Like I know what's up. And we went all around Tokyo, whatever. And I remember seeing the Metal Gear Rising Revengeance watch in one of the displays. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like it doesn't aesthetically grab me the same way, but I was like, that's really interesting that you can just see this in a store here, whereas like if you're in the U.S., like you can't find that shit.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I was like, you know what? Let's go on a treasure hunt today. Let's go see if we can go to the Konami store in Roppongi. So my black ass goes over to Roppongi, and we find this Konami style store. It's in like this kind of plaza area. It's really beautiful. And we go inside. I see like T-shirts. I see figures. I see like old Metal Gear Solid games. I was like, I would buy this whole fucking place if I could. and I see the watch on display, the Ground Zeroes watch. I could actually, and I was like, man, that is a beautiful watch, man. Like, it sucks that not only does it cost a lot, but like I will never be able to get that because it's all gone. And so I was like, for shits and giggles, I'm just gonna see what they say if I ask them if they have any. Because what's the worst that can happen, right? You ask them, they say no.
They don't have any.
They say no. Yeah.
Exactly. What do we learn, people? Lesson at home.
That's the lesson from 20 minutes ago. What do? You go for it.
You go for it. And so I asked. It was like, oh yeah, we actually do have some left. And I was like,
oh man, faded.
What do you mean you have some left? What is this? What is this sorcery? So, I thought about it for a long time because I didn't take out the cash for it because you have to convert all the money when you're in Japan. So like I had my credit card, and they knew that I was in Japan. That I knew I might buy something if I have to, and so I was like, this is a breaking moment. And so they told me they had 2 left. I bought the second to last one that will ever be in existence.
Wow.
So I said, you know what, fuck it. I can get more money, technically, unless I fucking get fired or something.
Mm-hmm.
And this isn't going to be something that you can get again. They're not going to make more of them. So I did it, and I don't regret it for a second.
Nice. That's an awesome story.
Not even for a second. There's actually a video of this on one of my friend's channels who lives in Japan. She's wonderful, and we went to an izakaya, which is basically like some of them are kind of like you pay a flat fee, and it's all you can drink, all you can eat type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so we went in there, and I had just bought it, and I was like glowing, and I was just like, ah. And I was telling the story to the camera of like how I got this watch, and she's like, oh, it's a watch. I'm like, you don't understand. You don't understand this.
This is Metal Gear.
This is Metal Gear. And so one of my other friends, he was like, you don't understand. This watch is more accurate than the atomic watch. This thing, you know how like watches have quartz stones in them? She's like, no. And then like, well, this one has Hideo Kojima's pubic hair regulating the time. And I was like,
that's accuracy for your ass.
Accuracy for your ass. I was done.
That's fantastic.
And you see, but there it is, right there. How pretty easy it is when, especially for just going through all the trouble of having to go and import a book. I remember when I bought the Art of Metal Gear Solid book. Oh my God, it was just so much trouble just to get it, and then just to find, back in those days, Konami and Kojima weren't as open as they were in the later years.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't just literally just go onto one of their forums and ask them. They had this really convoluted forums, and you could ask them, and it was a catch-22 if they even answered you,
Yeah.
The one thing I would always ask is the Metal Gear Solid 2 book coming out in the United States? Nothing. And I'm like, the thing is, like, man, I can see it. I can go to the Japanese site right now and see. I can see some people can order it, but how come we can't get it? So it's a lot. I mean.
Yeah, they make you go through a lot of hoops. Sometimes it's a lot better now than it used to be, but they make you go through
definitely,
a lot of hoops.
Especially when the PSP version of of when Peace Walker came out, they actually released the special edition PSP, where you could actually buy the actual PSP as opposed to kind of importing it from somewhere else.
Right.
It's like, oh hey, people might want this.
Yeah, I think the whole world wants.
But anyway,
man, I can just imagine you in Japan, specifically the Konami store, man. Like,
it's funny. I actually have a friend out in Singapore who went there, and he is like, I told him, a bunch of stores that I kind of, knew the names of over there. I'm like, hey, you can go here, you can go here. There's the Konami store and stuff, and they're like, oh, okay, we'll check it out. And he's like, is there anything you want if we do manage to go there? I'm like, I know that these special like Yuji Shinkawa like mini art books that they sell there. So there's like one that's devoted to Zone of Enders, there's one that's devoted to a bunch of random stuff, and then there's a Metal Gear one. I was like, if you can get me a couple of those books, that'd be awesome.
Like, give me all of these motherfuckers.
Yeah, so those books are like super rare. I don't even think they even sell them anymore at the store.
That's crazy. That's a great story, man. And I guess that's a good way of ending that segment. I hope you enjoyed that, me asking you these weird questions.
No, it was lovely. I appreciate the love, and I appreciate those questions. I think they're pertinent questions.
Yes, definitely. And I'm assuming you're going to stick around for the rest of the show because we're going to talk about some news.
We got some things to talk about.
Like, yo, man, I'm gone. All right, let's moving on. Some gaming news. Will, you and I talked about this before. Street Fighter V beta officially postponed.
We knew that was going to happen. We knew that was going to happen.
Bullshit. And then Capcom, they were like, okay, so for those who don't know, so the beta for Street Fighter V was available on Thursday of last week, right? I personally set aside my whole weekend for it. And I was like, okay, everyone leave me alone. Street Fighter, this is serious. I got to play 40 minutes total. And like technically I got in Sunday morning, like 2 a.m. That's when I finally got in that shit. And it wasn't an isolated experience. Everybody had the same fucking, oh Manny, what was that? So you get attacked, man. It's your cat. All right. So yeah, I tried to get in there, and my experience is not the same. I mean, my experience is the same as everybody else. Nobody get into the shit. I mean, I was surprised I even got to fight against some motherfuckers because nobody was in this shit. So during this time, Capcom was like, okay, we're gonna extend the beta so you guys can get in, and then like a day later, like, okay, we're just postponing this shit. It just ain't fucking working. Now, yes, this is a beta, and it's not supposed to be 100%, like we talked about in Throwdown Questions. But the beta was specifically made to stress test. And I made this analogy. That's like going, hey, let's see how many people get on this boat before it sinks, and you can only get 2 motherfuckers on the boat. The test doesn't work. So it's fucked up. And then, like Brett said, hey, it's a beta. You expect it to at least be somewhat playable. This shit wasn't playable at all. They didn't even give you the option of just playing offline, like nothing. So on that end, it was a complete fucking failure, and I think people are going to be looking like, the side eye to Street Fighter V now. I mean, they have a couple more betas, so maybe that'll reaffirm faith with people. But at the same time, it just sucks that you couldn't do that. And it's a pre-order incentive on top of all that shit.
To be honest, to be honest, I still don't see why people are bent out of shape about this.
But Manny, you don't understand you don't see the fact that this was a pre-order bonus and incentive.
It was a bonus and an incentive, but the thing is that to me, usually when you talk beta, I mean, to me, it's something that's not finished. And you expect there to be things that are wrong with it. It's like everybody's expecting a completed, finished game.
No, but it's not.
I don't understand that. I mean, to me, it's like if they said, "Oh, the pre-order incentive is to play the full game, without any hiccups, right away when you do your pre-order." No, you're not getting the full game. You're getting a portion of the game, and it may work and it may not work.
No, it's supposed to work. That's the expectation.
It's supposed
It's
to.
not an alpha version. An alpha version you would expect huge problems, huge things that don't work, lag and all that stuff. But a beta version, you're close to completing the game. So when you launch beta 1 of a product, you may not have all the characters, you may not have all the stages, you may not have all that done. But what you do have does work. And even if the network stress test fails or some moves don't work or whatever, at least it's most in a working condition. It sounds like this was not in any type of working condition.
It wasn't at all. Like, you couldn't get on. That was the whole purpose of it. So yeah, if it's an alpha, then you could say, okay, I can't get in, doesn't work, whatever. A beta is more or less, it's not a full finishing, but it's the base is there. The structure's already there. And if that's your incentive, and then if the point is to stress test, you can't call it anything but a failure, which it completely was. I know they're gonna have more, but it's not a good thing that for Capcom right now. They're already having enough problems as it is. I look at whole Ultra Street Fighter 4 came out. That's still kind of fucked up too.
Again, not their fault on that one.
Yeah, that one wasn't their fault. So
yeah, okay, you're right. To be fair, it was Sony's fault for licensing some bullshit third-party people to do that. You're right about that. But Capcom,
it's in better condition now. I will say that it's in pretty good condition now. But my biggest problem with the beta it's a couple of things. One is that there are a lot of people who kind of just wasted a lot of time not even being able to get into the practice arena. Like I spent a lot of time is very valuable these days, and so I spent a lot of that time that I did give towards this just sitting at a title screen going like this. I shit you not for hours. Like I would be doing other stuff and like pressing X, and like I had to stop I stopped a broadcast like 3 times to see if it was working, and it was a situation where again like with the beta maybe there are other experiences that people have with betas that were not favorable, but every beta that I've been a part of has actually allowed me to participate in it.
Exactly.
This has been a situation where I wasn't able to get past. It got to a point where you can look online and see people making jokes about it, but like the boss battle in that game was the title screen. You could not get past that, and so it was a situation where it's if you're gonna say that, you would say it's an alpha, right? If it's an alpha, it's in like a very stripped down version. It is not expected to work or even function. It's just kind of like that's for testing to see if it's working.
Exactly.
And at this point, it's testing to see if the network, when you're in the game, in the match, is able to smoothly work. If it's able, like they were testing the net code essentially. That's what they were trying to do: test the net code and get feedback from players. But like they can't get any of that feedback if people aren't able to get on. So,
yeah, I mean, if it was a case of you get online and the shit is like laggy, okay, that sucks. But you're able to get online because testing that shit, if it's laggy or not, that's the point. You can't even test it if you can't get on. So yeah, and you're right. I'm thinking about it. Because I played a lot of betas too. Every single one of them has worked. Every single one.
I've had the opposite. Most of the betas I've ever participated in didn't work correctly.
Examples.
So, what was that one? It was. I remember I had trouble with the Uncharted one. I had issues with that one.
2 or 3, because I played both of those and those were fine.
It was 2.
Okay.
Well, was it a situation where you couldn't play, or was it?
Yeah, I couldn't even get online, so I just said whatever.
Yeah, but that wasn't a pro.
Either there was a lot of people on there or whatever, or either that or it get cut off. And I had a decent connection, so it was not that. But yeah, I couldn't get on any of it. And there was the other one. I was playing. Shit, I can't remember the name of this game. It was like a third-person RTS kind of deal, where you could kind of drop like machinery, kind of some other crazy stuff from outer space. I can't remember the name of that game.
You're not thinking of XCOM, are you?
No, it's not XCOM. It was before XCOM. It was like a PlayStation exclusive.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, that one I had quite a bit. It took a little while to get on that one too. So I mean,
but you got on it, right?
Yeah, but I didn't work right.
Yeah, I mean,
pulled it off.
I guess
to be honest, it just like that. At least from the way I see it, is just like I don't know. I'm not expecting very much from a beta. That's just kind of the way I see it. I was like, it's not really a finished game, so it'll lag, it'll not work. So I'm not going to be that angry if it doesn't work for a while. At least they said, all right, we're gonna rework this.
Yeah, but in the past, people give out betas to test stuff. Capcom made the mistake of saying this is a pre-order incentive.
Mm-hmm.
So people have an expectation of incentive. Let's say somebody said, well, if you show up early to my party, there's free beer, and you get there and the beer is fucking warm and nasty. That's exactly what this is.
No, it's not.
There's no beer.
There is no beer.
There's no beer.
No, there is no
you gotta put that beer in the fridge.
Nope, there's no beer at all. You go there, and then like when you're about to leave the party, then they come up with like half a cup of beer. Like, here you go, man.
You found this in the back.
They found this in the back. It's cold. It's cold though.
Yeah, so there should have never been any sort of incentive like this. It should have just been a beta test. And if it didn't work, they don't have any expectations. But people are like, hey, I paid money early so I could try this game early, and I got nothing.
Man, you remember my boy Francois I introduced you to, the tall Asian dude? Mm-hmm. He bought a PS4 for this.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't regret it because he wanted to get PS4 anyway, but he specifically bought it because of Street Fighter V in the beta, and yeah. So it's fucked up,
And the craziest thing about it is they have pre-order numbers. It's not like they don't know that there's going to be a lot of people trying to play this game, right? It's not like they were caught off guard with the possibility that there's a lot of people who want to play this beta.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
There have been other betas recently, in recent memory, that have been very successful in terms of like, Destiny. We could think of, I think the Halo beta for Halo 5 was very successful. The beta for, I'm trying to think of a few other examples. There were some other games that came out that had like really
Evolve. Actually, no, Evolve was
Evolve had some issues, but like they fixed it like within a day. So like
to be fair, the issues weren't with the game; they were with the network. Just remember, the DDoS attacks were happening at that time.
Right.
I think so. Yeah. But you're right. Evolve was fine. Destiny was fine. Destiny, to me, that's like the new standard for a beta test. That shit was smooth, man.
It was like, very smooth, and so it's not like they don't have the resources to evaluate, assess, and understand kind of what the network infrastructure looks like, especially because they're partnering so closely with Sony. Like, this is a Sony-funded project, so it's not like they had no clue what they were doing. So that's kind of the part that frustrates me the most, is that, like, you kind of had some time to figure this out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's frustrating. So, but again, hopefully the next one will be all right, So, because, I mean, again, pre-order bonus, you have expectations that they have to meet,
Yeah.
All right.
Do you guys think the beta numbers were more than they were for Destiny, for example? I know there was so much hype for Destiny. Like, do you think there were more people trying to get on Street Fighter 5?
I'm gonna say no, because Street Fighter. I mean, even though it's Street Fighter Legacy game, it's still a fighting game. It's not as big as a first-person shooting game, So I'm gonna say no. But see, the thing is, it wasn't even the amount of people trying to get in that crashed the system. Nobody could get in. Nobody could get into this shit. That's the problem. If it was a case of like, hey, everybody trying to shove into the fucking boat and they sank the shit. Okay, I get it now. That's all right, but nobody could get on.
Yeah,
it's crazy. All right, so let's move on here. Chris, thank you for this. I didn't know about this, so, and I'm not surprised by this either. Legend of Zelda is not coming to Wii U next year. Chris, what is going on, man?
Well, Nintendo launched a new financial report, and the thing that people are harping on is they put all this upcoming games, like 3DS, Wii U, first party, third party, and when you go down and you look at Legend of Zelda, it still says TBD on it for 2016. Like, it just says TBD, and there are dates for a lot of other things, even dates that just say 2016, like the game is coming out next year, but that one and a few other games just say TBD, like there's no date. And a lot of people went, well, this game was supposed to come out
this year,
allegedly holiday, 2015, and they said no, it's not coming out this year. So you'd expect at least them to put a 2016 stamp on it, like, oh yeah, next year for sure we're gonna make it. No, they didn't do that. So there's a lot of speculation going on, a lot of anger, a lot of people saying that they're just gonna push it to NX and it's not coming to Wii U, period, or it's not coming out next year. There's a lot of speculation going on. Wired had put out a counter article like, don't worry people, that doesn't mean it's delayed again. And I counter with, then why didn't they give it a year? Why didn't they put 2016 on there? They didn't need to say Q1, the first half, the second half. Just put 2016 on it, right? You know it's going to come out next year, but they don't know. And that's kind of bad.
Yeah, here's my question. Do you think Wada's passing may have something to do with this?
It could have. I don't know. Maybe there's some internal turmoil. Maybe they're restructuring because he passed away. Maybe the added duties that people have to take on and they can't balance it. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. But I don't believe that. I don't think that Zelda was in any way, shape, or form ready to even come out next year anyway.
Yo, but right? Miyamoto was playing it though, man.
Oh, he was playing something. And they've done this before. If you look at Zelda's history, Zelda's always been fucking late. Everything they show early is never what the game eventually looks like. They did that with Ocarina of Time. They did that with Twilight Princess. They showed some shit, and then the final thing doesn't look anything like what they showed, right? And everybody goes back to like, oh, you remember when Link's fighting the spider? I'm like, that's a fucking tech demo video. That's not a game. Like, that's just some shit they threw together. Like, look what the Wii U can do.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't even play it.
You can't play that, yeah. So you see Miyamoto sitting in front of a screen, and Manny always makes fun of that, right? We saw him on the TV with the TV behind him.
That. It looks great. Look at me playing on the screen. Here's the screen, and you're looking at the screen. It's like, dude, I can't see what the fuck you're playing. I think it looks cool.
So I don't think it was in any shape or form. I think there may have been some arguing even before anything with the water. I think there may have been like just an upheaval in there. Maybe they went and restructured the game, and that's why I got the lead in the first place. And who knows? Maybe they are going, you know what? Fuck it. We're just gonna put it on NX because why bother anymore? I don't know. I'm not gonna say like that's what's happening. But.
What happened, Manny? Speaking of NX.
Well, I'm sure. Well, you probably have that in the notes already.
Why? What's going on with NX now? 'Cause I don't have that in the notes. The only thing.
They essentially Square Enix announced that their new Dragon Quest game is coming out on the NX.
Really? I did not know this.
Yeah. They just recently revealed the new Dragon Quest game, and they not only said PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, and they said NX, and then they went, whoops, whoa. So what people are speculating is that the NX is coming out a lot sooner than everybody thinks.
I mean, if it's what Chris and I speculated might be like a tablet type thing, it probably might be ready by next year.
Yep.
And by the way, I need to bring something. Chris, remember all the shit you and I got when we said this game was not even coming out this year? And look at this shit.
Oh,
yeah, the fantastic amount of hate we got. They said Miyamoto wouldn't lie to us. Oh, of course not. Why would he? Why would anyone lie to you? Yes, everything they tell you is honest. They always tell you the truth.
Yeah, but I just found that funny because they were like, oh, yeah, it's releasing in 2015. We're like, that shit ain't coming out in 2015. What are you guys talking about? You're just hating on Nintendo. It's like, every Zelda game has been delayed. Why is this one going to be any fucking different?
Listen, I see
Nintendo fans, man. Okay, I'll stop. Go ahead.
I see if the NX is coming out when people are speculating, right? I think that new Zelda game will not be coming out on the Wii U, but it will be coming out on the NX.
This is what other people are speculating too. It's like they already said the Wii U is a failure. They already have one foot in mobile. By the way, that Pokemon Shuffle game that came out on 3DS, and I said that's a template for what they want to do now. They want to do the Candy Crush fucking model of gaming. Guess what? That's coming out for mobile now.
Of course.
They got one foot out the door. So, yeah, of course they're going to have the other foot out the door for the Wii U. They already admitted it's crap. I mean, Project Cars can't even work on it. It's just like people are bowing out. They have hardly any third-party support. So they have hardly any games coming out. Project fucking Giant Robot doesn't even have a real name. So it's just a lost cause. It's like Twilight Princess all over again. I don't think they're going to bother releasing this at the end of the Wii U's life cycle because why bother? It's not going to be like Skyward Sword. The Wii at least was a successful system, even though it petered out at the end, and enough units to go, okay, we'll launch this at the end, which was stupid, but they did it anyway. This is going to be like Twilight Princess. This is just going to drag on to like, let's push it over here now.
Yeah, I just find that hilarious. It's like the end of the Wii U's life cycle, 3 years in, basically.
That's so weird to say. Yeah, but, I don't know how to feel about it because like at the same time, like I don't own a Wii U, I don't plan to buy one, but it's just really weird to think about a console that released and then like just had done so poorly.
See, that's how you can tell that it took pretty much no money to make that console. Nintendo always runs on the cheap. All that Wii U was a the GameCube stuff with some extra shit on top of it.
It's a GameCube plus.
It's a GameCube plus.
It's just overclocked. It's keep turning.
We're not even saying that shit to hate. It's just the truth. The Wii U is just a souped up version, and the Wii itself and the Wii U is just a souped up version of the Wii. And where does it all come from? The GameCube.
The GameCube.
Yeah, so come on, man. That's all it is.
See, the thing is that, in general, Nintendo functions on the cheap, and that's how they're able to do these things. If they have a cheap piece of hardware on the market, that doesn't cost them that much to make. And yes, granted, it doesn't.
What about the tablet though?
The tablet? What? Everybody makes fucking tablets.
Oh, he's talking about the Wii U controller.
Yeah, the Wii U controller. I know that's pretty expensive.
I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think it's. I mean, they wouldn't have made it if it wasn't in some ways cost effective. You
Yeah,
know.
Nintendo's always on the cheap, but
Yeah.
that's probably the most expensive component of the Wii U, though.
Mhm.
I would
The actual console itself is not the. Come on, that shit. It's a fucking last gen system. You,
Yeah,
and by
even
the
that
way,
wasn't well
yeah.
thought out. Come on, man. You can't even use 2 gamepads in one system.
Nope.
Yeah.
That's the shit I love, by the way, because people are like, oh yeah, no, it's a current gen system. Well, yeah, if it's current gen, why the fuck can't Project Cars work on it? Come on.
It's it was current gen last during
Exactly.
the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era. Granted,
Yeah.
it was supposedly stronger than both of those consoles.
Well, that
Yeah,
wasn't
pretty
true
much.
either, because there was plenty of developers saying that PlayStation 3 was actually running stuff better than the
Wii
Wii
U.
U ports. Look at Arkham City ran poorly on the Wii U.
Mm-hmm.
That was a port from PlayStation and
Yeah.
Xbox 360.
That's a good point. Exactly.
I like the way people say that Nintendo wouldn't lie, but yeah, no, they were showing video from a PlayStation 3 at their press conferences.
That's
You know,
a
they
good
were
point.
showing Darksiders, and that was the PlayStation 3 version of Darksiders playing. It was an actual running version of Darksiders on Wii U hardware.
Yeah, they always do that. They always cover up shit. Like when they said, "Oh no, there won't be an XL version of the 3DS." That's not happening. Even though it leaked that another Nikkei insider back then leaked that there was going to be a 3DS XL coming to North America, and they denied it. They're like, "No, that's not happening." What did happen 4 months later? 3DS XL. Here it is.
Exactly. So yeah, Nintendo's not very truthful. People,
Yeah.
come on now.
Well,
And
you
again,
know,
they're losing exclusives now. Remember Zombie U?
Yeah, Zombie now.
Yeah, just coming to everything.
Yeah, exactly. It's
I
ridiculous.
mean,
All right.
it stayed exclusive for a long time. It was like what, 2 years, 3 years?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they give it that, but man, it's crazy. All right, speaking about losing stuff, Halo 5 lost a co-op split screen. Other Zinc, what's up, man? That was a feature right there, bud. Oh, by the way, Will, in case you don't know, Other Zinc's one of our listeners' fans. He always gives us shit. He's always like, Halo 5, the greatest game ever. It has split screen co-op. Not anymore.
Is he in the chat right now?
Probably not. He's just going to be in the comments.
He'll probably be in the comments later.
Okay.
Yeah. So some people are pretty pissed off about it. Ben Kuchera from Polygon, he actually wrote an editorial about how mad he is. He's like, he can't play with his kids and stuff. I understand.
Why are you playing Halo with your fucking kids, Ben Kuchera?
Because there's no boobs in Halo. Cortana's gone, so he doesn't have to worry about that.
There's
shit
no
anymore.
boobs in Halo.
Yeah, he won't get offended, right?
You don't get offended by Halo. So.
You know, it is an M for mature game. You
Oh
probably
no, gun violence is fine, but
I mean, I played a lot of violent games as a child.
No, I'm just saying because it's a little bit hypocritical coming from Mr. Ben Kuchera.
That's a great point.
So how about some context for the people at home who don't know too much about why this is hypocritical for this dude?
Oh, we're gonna get into Ben Kuchera now.
I mean, we don't have to, but
we have basic. I mean, you guys who've listened to the show, you already know what's up because Ben Kuchera basically he writes a lot of editorials, has for many years now. Like putting down games that are too violent, too sexist, shit like that. Yet he's playing Halo 5 with his kids.
Or he wants to play Halo 5 with his kids.
I'll give him a pass on it because Halo, you're shooting fucking aliens, whatever. They blood is like pink or whatever.
Yo, man, it's still a violent game.
Yeah, but anyway, the point is,
you're still mercilessly murdering each other.
Yeah, with those cute little aliens, whatever the noise they make.
Yeah.
Well, those guys aren't in it.
They probably will be.
It's only a bunch of dudes.
Yeah. So let's look at both sides of this. I'm going to maintain my position. Split screen co-op doesn't make any fucking sense now because most of the people who play video games are old and they have fucking families and wives and all this shit. They can't be going to each other's houses every night, so they play online. It's more efficient that way.
I appreciate the option.
I appreciate it too, but I was about to say Bungie 343. They said that they would have to give up a lot of things in terms of graphics to make that happen. So like, you know what? Let's just get rid of it. Forget about it.
I mean, in general, there is a graphical downgrade that happens with split screen co-op.
And they said they said they didn't want that with Halo 5. They wanted to present it the best way possible at all times. So that's the reason they got rid of it. So that's the side I stick with. But there's also the other side. And what if you do have, what if you live, in an apartment with a bunch of friends, right? Roommates or something, or you have kids. You can't do that. So I see that. I understand that, but at the same time, it's 2015, guys.
Yeah,
It's not feasible
I
anymore.
find that a pretty weak excuse because the game, if you play single player or you play online, yeah, you're going to get that quality experience, right? The game is going to look quality. If you're talking about just a downgrade for split screen co-op, that seems a little fishy. I think more like, hey, you want to play with your buddy over there? Does he have gold? No. Maybe he wants gold. Let's get gold. So we get gold.
I didn't think about that.
I think I'm more on Chris's side when it comes to that because I do definitely feel like there's two sides of like how they can position why split screen doesn't exist, or even three at this point with Chris's new point, right? One of them is we don't want to take resources away from what we're already doing to spend time doing it. But then there's one is like, oh, we want to have this look as good as possible at all times, which is bullshit. And then there's the position that Chris was just talking about, which was, let's get you to pay more money. And so I see both of those two that I was just referring to, the pay more money and the whole. I think that's more or less the story.
Yeah, because I thought Xbox One had DirectX 12 and all this secret sauce. It was supposed to be the ultimate system. Like, it's supposed to be able to manage the nuclear payload of the Earth while running a game at the same time. So, what you tell me, kid, to split screen? Like, what happened?
Yeah, where's the cloud servers, right? Where's all that?
That seems a little weak. Yeah.
I need to say this right now. A couple weeks ago, I went to this EA event, right? I played Star Wars Battlefront. It was split screen co-op, and I could go into first person and third person, and the game looked fucking nice.
I'm just saying.
I
understand that they want to use the resources in a more wise way they think will work better for what they're trying to do. You can always add that on as an option later on. If you decide that people want it, have it as like a free downloadable content thing. I think other games have done that before. It's not a big deal if they don't do it right out the gate.
Have it as a pre-order bonus. Oh, man. But it's like, you know what, man? Fuck that. I'm calling bullshit on this because I literally played a game, split screen co-op, first person and third person, and it looked fucking beautiful. Come on, guys. Now, yes, granted, I still maintain the fact that I still don't think split screen co-op is necessary, but that excuse is bullshit, especially with the whole, Xbox Live Gold, right, guys? Come on. Where's you at? Get him to subscribe. What's up? Oh, man.
Absolutely.
Don't you want to subscribe to Xbox Gold?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. We didn't talk about this for whatever reason, because mostly it was still percolating. It was still percolating there, but now we got to talk about Red Ash. This thing is a fucking disaster. For those who don't know, Red Ash is the other Kickstarter by Keiji Inafune, a Kickstarter that's going on while Mighty Number 9 hasn't been released yet, and it's just running into a fucking problem. It's probably not going to make its Kickstarter goal. And now today they're like, oh yeah, guys, don't even worry about our goal. We got a publisher. We're going to put the game out anyway. This is just to make the game better. So it's like, okay, it's a weird situation. Yeah.
I think the biggest issue with them is whoever was handling their Kickstarter campaign, because there's just very little clarity in it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's when you look at Igarashi's thing, right? He literally said, you knew right off the bat, yes, they do have a publisher, but this
investors. They have investors,
and the game is going to be made. It's just we're doing this so that we can gauge the interest, and all of this money that we're making with this Kickstarter will go directly into the game. So you knew what was going to happen.
Yeah, they've been very upfront about it.
They've been very upfront. In fact, out of all of the Kickstarters I've supported, they are the most thorough. Like, you constantly get emails and about how the progress of the game is, what's going on, what are they doing.
The opposite of Shenmue. They don't give
the total opposite of Shenmue, which again, it's another company. Whoever was handling it just did not handle it correctly because it's just very mysterious.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when comparison to Inafune's first Kickstarter and Igarashi's one, where they're very upfront about everything. I definitely think that the Japanese, when the Japanese want to continue to start funding games through Kickstarter and attract Westerners, they have to be a little less vague. They have to be a lot less vague.
Once you wait till Mighty Number 9 is done because I'm waiting on Mighty Number 9. I funded it. You know, I get my updates, but it's not finished.
Yeah,
No?
but I mean, you still get updates. Like, you know, in other words, they gave some sort of silly cockamamie thing, like why they couldn't update people quicker because they're doing this and they're doing that. It's like, well, dude, that's part of the process. You know, building faith with your customers. That's part of it.
Yeah, exactly. But that's the thing, though. You know, I'm Chris. I'm glad you bring it up. That's my beef. I'm like, hold on. What the fuck? What about Mighty Number 9? Why don't you finish that first? You know,
well,
it's like
I mean,
it's like I funded the fucking game too.
Here's the thing. I mean, the game is pretty much, it's already pretty much gone gold. It's coming out September, so it's pretty much ready. The thing is that you don't get to see when studios start to work on new ideas. In this situation, you actually got to see exactly when they started working on this new idea. It takes a long time to make a game. So, I mean, I can understand why they're going to go to Kickstarter and try to do it again, but at the same time, it definitely should have been a lot clearer as to where the people's money was going, what they were going to do, all this other stuff. So a lot of people, it sounds like they're trying to pull a fast one on people.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's the whole point. That's the whole point of Kickstarter, knowing where your money is going. If people have decided to put their faith into something, they're investors. You know, they at least want to know what's going on.
Well, my point with Mighty Number 9 not being released yet, it doesn't matter if it's like gold 2 months ago or whatever. So this Kickstarter is almost done, so it's been launched a month. Mighty Number 9 hasn't come out yet, so besides the people who have invested in it, you don't know the actual interest. Like, people haven't bought it yet, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't know sales. And then we haven't played it yet, so we don't even know if it's a good game.
Mm-hmm.
So you haven't built that faith to say, well, now we got Red Ash, and you're like, well, I love this game, so now I'm going to fund this game, right? They just started, and then they at the same time, they put out a Kickstarter for an anime, and it's like, what is this?
It's a really confusing sort of thing. They really, to be honest, you know, in general, they should have waited at least till Mighty Number 9 was out on the floor.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
Before they did something like that.
Yeah, Will, get in here, man. What are your thoughts about all this?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think they kind of jumped the gun a little bit too soon because, like, I've done a little bit of research on Red Ash. We talked about this on the Black Oni podcast as well. Like, they're really only showing off concepts to the point where they're like showing storyboard stuff. They have like some audio stuff in there. They have like a little bit of documentary style, like movement videos where, you know, KJ and Ifumi is talking to some of the programmers and animators and talk about movement, but like there's no real sense of kind of what the game is supposed to be like at all at this point. And I think people looking at this project are a little bit confused because one, we haven't seen what happened with Mighty Number 9. Like, we don't know if it's even a good game. It looks awesome. It looks like Mega Man. It looks like everything we've always wanted, but we haven't gotten a chance to even play it yet. Like, I've yet to get my hands on it, and you know, it's asking for another big push for this game that we know nothing about, really. I mean, you know, we don't even know who these characters really are. I don't really get a sense of any of that stuff from what they've shown us.
From what you know, from a bunch of digging that people have done, they found out that it was essentially going to be the Mega Man Legends that never got released. You know, like, you know, a lot of the ideas that he was working on to make that game, which is cool and all, but at the same time, you gotta let people know.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it looks just like Mega Man Legends. Like, I got that vibe from it, but again, like, I don't know. I have no idea what I'm even looking at. Like, I'm looking at the page right now, and I see up here that they got funded from the support of Fuse Entertainment, and so it will be developed in full for PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One. So, like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, nobody does, and that's the problem. You know, if this is a Kickstarter, you got to be upfront about shit. You know, they were upfront with Mighty Number 9. They weren't upfront with this. You know, or the message was just very muddled.
Yeah. I definitely think they didn't handle this one right.
Yeah, but I would be interested to see what this game is like. But like, I know personally, like, I don't feel compelled to like put money towards it yet because like I just don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, very, very weird situation there. All right. And the last thing with gaming here, you know, we talk about this every 3 months or so. It's the console that doesn't stop selling. PlayStation, now it's sold or shipped. You know, I don't want to talk about that for a second, but we'll get to that later. So 25.3 million units, right? And when we talked about this back in January, it was 18.5. So it's essentially sold almost 7 million consoles in like this span of time. That's fucking crazy. And you know, the report also says that this thing is selling way faster than the PlayStation 2, which is, everybody knows, the best-selling console of all time. It took PlayStation 2 about 3 years to reach 20 million. This is not even 2 years. It's already at 25 million. So it's pretty fucking crazy. But again, the usual questions pop up. Why the fuck is the PS4 selling so well? Like I said, and I've said this already, I think it's to the point where it's like Call of Duty. People buy it because it's the name. If you want to buy a video game system, PlayStation. That's the brand name. Just like last gen Xbox, that was the brand name. Now it's PlayStation. And I still believe, I know some people don't want to subscribe to this, I still believe that all that bad taste in people's mouths from Microsoft's fucking reveal of Xbox One, people haven't forgotten that shit. You know, they haven't forgotten that.
It followed. I mean, come on. You saw it in the PlayStation 3 era. That followed them all the way up to the end.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it took them how long to finally become profitable and do all the extras, you know, get all that stuff?
Yeah,
you know,
they had a huge PR marketing plunder when they kind of announced it. It was like, you're going to want to work another job in order to afford a PlayStation 3. It's like, you don't fucking say that to consumers. Like, are you serious?
Yeah, and people didn't forget that till the end. No, even till at the very end, nobody forgot that shit. Same thing with Xbox now. They remembered all that shit where it's like, we're going to force feed you DRM whether you like it or not. Connect, fuck you. You're going to take a Connect. You want this Connect, you know? Shit like that people didn't appreciate. Where Sony was like, hey, we got games for you. Come join us. Simple shit.
And I mean, not to mention the way their PlayStation Plus works. I mean, come on, you know, they did it so well that even Microsoft went and cloned it.
Oh yeah.
You know.
And here's the thing that not enough people talk about when it comes to the battle between Microsoft and Sony when it comes to their systems, right? Is when the 360 and PlayStation 3 were going at it, whether it was because of their marketing plunder or whether it was because something else, people had Xbox 360 on the mind. When you went to MTV TV shows and you saw Pimp My Ride, people were putting Xbox 360s in their cars. They weren't putting PS3s in their cars. When you were talking about, you know, you're looking at these sports celebrities, you know, their trailers had Xbox 360s in them. They didn't have PlayStation 3s in them. And so it's the way, you know, obviously one of the things that I do, the marketing thing, it's the way that they've kind of marketed that brand as the go-to thing. So the 360 was really good at doing that, right? You know, anywhere you went, you heard people talking about an Xbox. You had like soccer moms who didn't know anything about video game systems, like, oh, I'm gonna go buy my kid an Xbox. They didn't know that was a specific brand. They thought that was what a video game was. So I'm gonna go buy my kid an Xbox. Now it's the other way around because I do think Sony was a lot more strategic in the way that they not only talked about their system but embedded it into our culture. I remember seeing a couple of TV shows at some point where people were talking about that there was someone playing a PlayStation 4 in the background. They was using the touchpad, and they were talking about it at some point. It was just random banter in a TV show. The way that they have embedded their brand into everyday culture is much different than what they did with the PS3.
Yeah, I mean, even every commercial you see where somebody's playing a game, what are they playing? They're playing a PlayStation 4, you know? And you're right about that. Same thing with movies. PlayStation 4s now, right, Chris?
Right.
Well, yeah, the amount of AAA titles they had covered, like exclusively Destiny, Batman. You know, it's like PS4. You don't see it on Xbox, and people don't think like, oh, it's on the other console. No, PlayStation, Batman, PlayStation. Destiny, PlayStation. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it's gonna keep happening this fall. We have Destiny again, right? Battlefront, and the big one, fucking Call of Duty. And I'm saying this on record. If I'm wrong, please refer to episode 45, the one we had Will Wiggins on. Refer to this shit. I'm saying right now, I believe Sony is going to win 2 out of 3 months this fall. Quote me on that. Because people don't. I really think, because everybody's like, oh, Halo's going to destroy everything. Microsoft has so many more exclusives. Yes, they do have more exclusives, but Sony has that name recognition at this point. And if people associate Call of Duty with PlayStation, because remember, that's why 360 was so popular too. 360, Call of Duty, that's the association. You get Sony with that association, it's a fucking rep. Call of Duty guys are crazy, man. Like, they will just buy systems just for that one fucking game. I guarantee you, it is gonna make a big deal. And now Star Wars with the movie coming out too. Forget about it. Sony is gonna, yeah.
Let's not forget about the not Skylanders, the Disney Infinity Bundle. We don't care about that shit, but kids will eat that up. They will associate that with PlayStation because that's what they know. That's what they have embedded in their brains.
Exactly.
And apparently, I was watching a video from my man Drifter. I'll give a shout out to him. I got a chance to meet up with him before. He was talking about, he did research for a video one day just to see what it was like. And apparently the pre-order numbers for Black Ops 3 are astronomical. They are much higher than they were for any of the previous Call of Duty games in recent memory, actually. Like, yeah,
Ghost and Advanced Warfare.
Ghost and Advanced Warfare. I think it might be more than both of those combined, just pre-order numbers alone.
Wow.
And the fact that they are making that transition over to PlayStation, like MLG is only going to be PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
When they have any other random game tournaments, it's going to be like that. When they advertise the commercials, it's going to have the PlayStation logo on there. Like this, people like to try to pretend like Call of Duty isn't a big deal anymore.
It's a big fucking deal, dude. Yeah, you still
not the same level as I used to.
But you realize for Xbox to even like get close to PlayStation numbers by the fall, by November, right? That they would have to double their sales from right now. So
right
what
now.
is there? Right, so there's like 13.5 or 14 million Xbox Ones probably in the market, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Literally, you're gonna have to sell that many by fall to compete, right? Or approach it.
It's not happening.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah, and then the other thing I want to bring up is because people are like, hey, remember the PS3 eventually overtook the Xbox 360 last generation, so you don't know what'll happen. Okay, this is how I'll counter with that. Xbox 360 had a year, to itself, right? Sold a shit ton of consoles. Then when PS3 came out, even at $500, it was actually outselling Xbox. But remember, Xbox was so far ahead, it took them a while to finally catch up. And then obviously, when the price dropped to like $400, it just went. Xbox One doesn't have that kind of momentum at all. They do not have that. They're selling well, but they're selling, sluggish compared to PlayStation. Yes, granted, Xbox has sold more than the fucking Wii U at this point, but that's not really saying much, is it?
But the Wii U had a head start on everybody with
exactly. And then the other thing I want to bring up, because this is what I find interesting. Up to this point, no one has debated whether this is sold or shipped, because there is a difference, right? Yeah. And now with this one, half the websites are saying it's sold 25.3. Other half are saying it's shipped. So I'm like, this thing's a little bit muddled, but I'm going to maintain it's sold that many because we've had 3 reports this year so far that we've sold this many. The last one was 22.3 million. So I'm going to go with they've sold that many. Again, we go back to the larger question. What can Xbox do to catch up? At this point, I don't think they could do anything. I think the only thing they can do is just, survive, basically. Xbox is not going to go away. Xbox is not going to go away. It's not doing terribly, but it's not going to.
I think they just have to continue to do what they keep on doing what they're doing. Essentially, getting those great first party type of things. Essentially, Sony's tactic. Mm-hmm. That's exactly what they did.
Sony did last gen because Sony, first party this generation, man,
Yeah, there's a lot to be desired. You can't. There's nothing there. Or we have to wait for them. See, I think that's the advantage. In other words, you just continue to keep on putting out good product, and people will come along. That's all and then just showing people that you are something to be trusted. It's going to take a while, but just keep pushing. And that's the best thing I can say, because again, Sony did that too. But the thing is that they looked at what Microsoft was doing with Xbox Live and said, you know what? Maybe we could start giving away games. Make people want to subscribe to PlayStation Plus. Because other than that, what did PlayStation Plus have that was any different? Do we get online storage? Who cares about that?
It's not even enough.
Yeah,
like online storage is minimal.
Yeah, it's like a minimal online storage. But the biggest thing there is you get good games for the same amount of money that you pay every single month. So you pay.
Hey, and Xbox Live Gold is getting some good games. They got Ground Zeroes coming next month.
They got Ground Zeroes coming.
So,
but wait, yeah. So and that's a perfect promotional platform for for the next game. Awesome. That's the way you got to work it.
Yeah, exactly. On a related note, EA put out a report today. Not really a report, but they have a guesstimate, I guess. They believe that there will be 49 million current gen consoles sold by the end of this year. I could see it happening. I think that could definitely happen.
Remember when people were saying, "Oh, console games are dead," and everything's gonna go mobile. Where's that talk now, huh?
Yeah, and you know what's ironic? This has so far been the most successful console generation so far.
Oh,
so
yeah, what's
the
up
shit
with
is
that,
dying,
huh?
right? What happened? I thought it was all gonna be mobile now, man. On your phone, man, swiping shit all day. What happened?
Crazy about that too is that like you have a dynamic right now with Sony where they don't have as strong of a first party lineup as like Microsoft, for example, but they are still like they haven't even really delivered their biggest guns yet, and that's the part that kind of really blows my mind at the situation. Like I understand. Like I kind of have an understanding a little bit of the reasons why it's doing so well, but that's only just part of the equation, right? Like the first party games that we have gotten have been really, like Bloodborne, for example. Like I still play that game; it's a fucking amazing game. But like that was probably I'm trying to look at my game collection right now to see if that was the only exclusive.
Like, man, you didn't buy the order
game. yeah. So it's like
the order.
It's really fascinating. I'm really interested to see how this holiday turns out with the fact that like Microsoft has all of this exclusive content coming and on the way, and they've had good content. Like they've had Sunset Overdrive, which I played through it and it was a good game, but like it was better than a lot of the first party stuff that was coming out of Sony at the time. I love Infamous First Light as well, so like you can kind of compare them in terms of like. In a way, but like they're very different. So like that game didn't really do that well.
Yeah, it didn't. That's a problem because that was a good game.
It was a great game, and so like it's. I'm very interested to see how this holiday season goes.
Here's something else that will blow your mind. Even Sony themselves are like, "Hey, we want to know why we're selling this well too, because we want to replicate it." They don't even know. They're even confused. It's crazy. Go ahead, Manny.
I mean, I think it's just something as simple as. People remember.
Yeah.
That is all it is. At first impressions, if there's enough proof that says this. Come on, look at the Wii U. The first impression of the Wii U, confusion.
Yeah. Like, is that the console?
For me and Tony, it was like, why aren't they showing the console? Why are they just showing the goddamn controller?
Yeah, that's
for me.
That's what we said.
For me, I was there going, you're going to confuse people. You didn't show them the console. So they don't need to see that. Oh,
yeah. Will, Chris used to
work for Nintendo.
Yeah, I used to work for Nintendo.
Okay.
So wait, I was there. I was. I did web development for them for the marketing department. And I remember that E3, and we're sitting there, and they're just showing the gamepad, right? And I'm like, I even talked to PR. I'm like, you didn't show the console. Why didn't they put the console on the stage like before? No, we're just emphasizing the gamepad. No one needs to see the console, right? That worked out really well.
Yeah, really. And then what happened? Their stocks dropped and everything because everybody.
The best part was like, why do I need to get a Wii U? I have a Wii. Like they didn't.
That was people. Yeah. There was also the brand confusion because they decided to try to harp on the old name. So then it's like, okay, so what is it? What is a Wii U? Is it just the controller that you can buy for the Wii?
Yeah.
No.
I'm sure there was guys in GameStop that wanted to throw themselves out of a window from all the parents asking, I just want the thing to give to my kid for the Wii, the gamepad. And they're trying to explain to them, no, it's a whole new system.
It's a whole new system. Well, I don't want to buy that.
And the funniest part was a year later, right? They had a commercial. A year later, they were like, a new system from Nintendo. It was like, why didn't you say that a year beforehand?
And I think that's another thing, too, I want to talk about, too, is the name of the consoles, right? So, like, the Wii U, like it just sounds dumb too, but like it kind of confuses people.
It was
right?
already
If you're gonna call it the Wii 2, that makes a little more sense, right?
Yeah, that probably would have been a better idea to call it the Wii 2.
Or the Xbox One. Like you had the Xbox 360, now you got the Xbox One. Like
Yeah,
they almost decide between like the new Xbox, which would have been a total disaster.
But they could have just called it the 720.
Something better than the Xbox One. I get the reasoning behind it, but
it's the one console that you'll ever need.
Meanwhile,
it's the one console that you'll never use.
Yeah. Oh. Meanwhile, Sony was like, "Hey, let's name our console something people actually can wrap their heads around."
Yes, it's a recognizable name.
Yeah, you know what PlayStation is. This is the fourth version of it. There you go. Everybody knows what's going on. Xbox One. I have an Xbox One. What the fuck are you talking about? Why do I need to buy another Xbox One? People are saying this shit.
See, but that doesn't surprise me with Microsoft. Look at the names of Windows and Office. They all have normal names. One's a year, and one's XP, and one's ME, and one's 7, 8. Now we're skipping 9. Now it's 10.
Yep. Oh man! All right. Actually, okay, that ends that, and that's a perfect segue. Let's end the show off with this. Give our impressions of Windows 10. Yeah, Willie, let's start with you since you wanted to talk about this.
Yeah.
Thank you for bringing it up because I almost forgot about this. But yeah, what do you think of it so far?
I have not had my hands on Windows 10. I have not tried it myself, but I love the concept. I think the concept. All right, so I'm gonna go out on a limb. I'll say this on record. Microsoft is fucking retarded for not having done this 5 years ago. Because you have an entire community of people who are playing legacy content throughout an entire timeline of gaming history who don't have a unified system for connecting with other people or buying content. It makes no sense that this took this long to get to this point. I don't know how well it's going to work now that it's here, and especially now that competitors like Steam have been doing it so well all throughout this time. It might be too late in terms of integrating that entire experience all together with that, in terms of like buying content and distribution. But the fact that people can have a unified gaming experience on a Windows PC, that's one of the reasons why people like consoles so much. They have one place they can go to. The interface is simple. It's clean. Yeah. It's something that they can become accustomed to very quickly. They can get all their content, and it's done. Boom. There you go. I'm hoping that Windows 10 is able to replicate that in some way, but I'm still flabbergasted as to how it fucking took this long to get there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a good one. Man, you've been fiddling around with it, right?
No, I don't have Windows 10. I'm not upgrading to that shit. That's the number one. That's the first thing that you don't do.
Yeah, the first iteration, right?
Especially, first generation version of Windows. I never upgrade then. I always wait until they have the bugs or whatever, squeezed out, and that's it. And I can't. And to be honest, I make my living, working with computers. If all of a sudden I decided, hey, I'm gonna update my operation system, and all my shit doesn't work.
Yeah, that's a problem.
That's my job. So I'm gonna wait.
Yeah.
But isn't Windows 8 poking you like, hey?
Yeah, Windows 8 every so often says, like, hey, you can free. It's a free upgrade. You can do it. I'm like, yeah, no. It doesn't matter if you're free, because if you fuck my computer over, I can't get that shit back. And I mean, they say, oh, hey, you can easily roll it back. Listen, all the more recent versions of Windows have their rollback feature. Most of the time, they don't work.
That's no good. See, I run a Mac on my, so I have to run Boot Camp on my system in order to even use Windows in the first place. So it can be a little tricky sometimes when it comes to certain drivers, and that's one of the other reasons why PC gaming kind of pisses me off sometimes.
All that bullshit, man. I don't get me started on it. Chris, have you had a chance to mess around with it?
No, I mean, there was a time when I used to get MSDN, I used to get all the early stuff, and I used to install stuff willy-nilly, like, oh, fuck it, release candidate 1, let's go for it. Shit breaks, oh, who gives a shit. I format my computer like 10 times a day, all right. Now, I'm old, my hands hurt, I just want Photoshop to work pretty much all the time, so I gave up. I know enough about Windows and hacking to get rid of that stupid white icon. I can tell all you guys how to do it to get it to stop for Windows. But yeah, I just, I'm in Manny's camp. It's like, don't be an early adopter because you're going to be sorry. There's going to be something you like to run that is just going to break, and you're going to be very sad. And then you're going to try to roll back because Microsoft told you could roll back, and you're going to be in for another nasty surprise when you do. Because there's one golden rule with Windows and installing any operating system. I don't care if it's OS 10 or Linux or whatever. Don't update it. You have to clean install it to get it right. Like that's the golden rule. Like I don't care what Microsoft says. I don't care what Apple says. I don't care what anyone says. Clean install the thing to get it running properly. But if you do that, guess what? The caveat is whatever you like to use, when you reinstall it, you better make sure it fucking works. Yeah. Like you use some little tool like Paint Tool or something, you're gonna get a nice surprise when Windows 10's new 64-bit kernel doesn't run it. So I would, if you rely on tools, especially old software, I would not recommend updating to it until they've figured out compatibility and they've patched it a little bit,
Man, I'm still remembering those Windows 8 horror stories. People, because they had like a free download or something early, and everybody's like, "My fucking system doesn't work anymore. It fucked it all up." So just be careful with that shit, guys.
Clean install. That's what you do.
Yeah, I mean, if I go to Windows 10, it's because I just bought a new PC that has it installed already.
Yeah, I mean, eventually I'm gonna pick up a new tablet PC, and it'll most likely have Windows 10 on it. But the thing is, I'm not gonna go and reformat my whole computer at this point in time, just so I could run some new operation system that has a couple new things that might be cool. And to be honest, it's granted they want everybody to go moving over to it, but then they're also making sure that all the different certain games and things only run on the damn thing. That's not good either.
Like if I only use my PC for gaming, I might do it because I have an Xbox One, so they entice you with that aspect. Like Will was saying, like the integration, right? So if I was just doing that, I'd be like, yep, yes sir, there it goes, Windows 10, and just get on it. But you got other stuff, like I work on this fucking thing all day, and I code on it, and I have things tweaked the way I want it, and as soon as I update it, I know I'm in for a nightmare, so I won't be bothered.
Yeah, fuck that shit, man. All right, so that's pretty much our show. So before we really wrap it up, Otanime is coming back, people. I know you might be like, wait a minute, why are you coming back so early? Because we were late last time. Simple as that. So this month we'll be talking about Sengoku Basara, seasons 1 and 2, and the movie. So make sure to watch all that, so you can join in on the conversation. I'm almost caught up. I think I'm like 4 episodes behind. I'm good.
I haven't watched it yet. Sorry.
Uh-oh, man, you got 24 episodes to watch.
I have 24 hours to watch
24 episodes.
Marathon.
Yeah, and all right, so Will, man, thank you for being on, man. This was fucking awesome, man. I hope you had fun with us.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I'm happy to be here. Glad you asked me to be a part of this podcast. I'm happy to meet you guys as well. This was a good experience. A lot of fun.
Yeah, likewise, man.
Yeah, man. That's what it's all about.
Definitely,
coming together.
Yeah.
Let our powers combine.
All right, and before we go, plug your shit, man. Where can people find you?
Oh, yes. So, blackoni.com is where you can pretty much find links to everything. If you want to find specifics, you can go to twitch.tv/blackoni to find my Twitch streams. I stream the podcast as well as gameplay sessions. I've been playing a lot of Witcher 3 lately. I love that game. You can go to youtube.com/jblaze06. And you can find me on Twitter at BlackOni6 or Facebook at BlackOni.
And don't forget DeviantArt.
Oh, yeah. DeviantArt, jblaze06.deviantart.com. That's JAEBLAZE06.
You can fix that now. They allow you to change your name.
Oh, do they now?
Yeah, you can go and switch out your name if you want. So it's not like, a bunch of numbers and random stuff. You can have product unity.
Yeah, so my biggest gripes in terms of Unity right now is that I can't change my PlayStation name, which is fine because people know me by JBlaze06 on PlayStation. And YouTube, you can't change it. So like it's youtube.com/jblaze06. Like I have no problem with it, but like I like the SEO optimization situation with the Black Oni. So if you're ever confused, just go to blackoni.com. It's got links to all that shit.
Yeah, and obviously here in this post, we got links to all that to make it easier for you people.
Oh yeah, good stuff.
All right, guys. So thank you once again. Make sure to follow the Coalition at thecoalition.com. Subscribe to Throwdown on SoundCloud, iTunes, and YouTube. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Throwdown Show and on Facebook. Links are available in the description below. Once again, our show is Tony Polanco, and tonight I was joined by Chris Seeley.
Hey, good night, everyone.
Emilio Lopez.
Metal Gear. It can't be.
Yes. And, of course, Will Wiggins, Black Oni.
Yeah, it's simply Fupic, guys.
That's what's up. All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Later.
Later.
Peace.
So long, guys.